about 2 in the morning on a Tuesday after a 3-day weekend. Let's see what trouble we can get into this week. One thing is for sure, we're trusting that good challenges will come our way. On my way back from Thoroughfare, New Jersey. Pretty smooth morning so far. I take all the credit, of course. So why would bathing naked in Nettles be preferable to going around the Nettles? I don't know if you're familiar with Nettles, but if you touch them with your bare skin, it's very painful. I just experienced that on a camping trip over the weekend. I was wearing shorts, and it would have been less painful if I had been wearing pants, but I wasn't wearing pants. So why would anybody wade through Nettles naked? Let's compare Nettles to porcupines. If you're a dog, for some reason you're probably insanely attracted to porcupines until you get hit in the face a few times with their quills. And then you learn to avoid porcupines. Unless you're just really stupid. And so you might think to yourself, the same should apply to Nettles. Why would I walk through Nettles? It'd be like kissing a bunch of porcupines. I don't want to do that. And I guess if we're really talking about Nettles or porcupines, you'd be right. But what we're talking about instead is life trials and tribulations. We may even be talking about demons. We tiptoe around demons, but, you know, if they explain things that happen, even if they're not real, if you can think about life as though they're real and it helps you, then that's great. For me, Nettles are opposition that feels personal. It's like the not-so-fast demons I've alluded to in the past. Whenever something is worth having, whenever something is valuable, it seems like life yells at you, hey, not so fast. You can't just have that. You can't just enjoy that. And I've argued in the past that yes, you can. Yes, you can. And one of the secrets is wading through the Nettles. No, I'm not going to say that once you doff your boxers and start through, that it's not going to hurt. I'm not saying that at all. But I'm saying, of all the options, it really is the best option. And here's why. When you go around the Nettles, when you go around the personal opposition, the opposition that seems to hate you and seems very vehement about protecting the status quo and wants to shock you and stab you and sting you when you do anything to disrupt the status quo, I'd say that the best way to get through, assuming you don't like the status quo, is to just go right into the face of it, just to go right where the pain is, because that's how you know you're on the right track. If you go around, I think you're going where the opposition wants you to go, which is in a way that's not going to challenge the status quo and will not ultimately defeat the status quo. And when you do defeat the status quo, you defeat it for your own progress, but often you'll defeat it in a way that helps other people too, especially if they're watching you. Some people will say, look at that guy, he's bare-ass naked, going through Nettles. What a fool. And other people will say, well, that must hurt, but he's the only one going where he actually wants to go. And everyone else is just milling around, going in circles, never getting anywhere that they want to go. So maybe that is the best way, ultimately, to get to what you want in life, to go through the nettles. And from my experience in the last few weeks, when I go straight through and I challenge the personalities, seemingly, to me it seems like there are personalities that have voices that I can hear with my ears, and others have voices that I can hear with my inner ears. But they all seem to be screaming at me not to disrupt things. And when I do it in spite of them, I feel such a good feeling afterwards. I feel that euphoria I was telling you about. It feels like I'm leveling up fast, that I don't have to wait, that I don't have to go through a process like therapy maybe. It is therapy, wading through nettles. It's fast therapy. It changes me quickly, and it changes my circumstances quickly. Does it hurt like hell? Yes. It stings. But what I've noticed with nettles, and maybe it's better now, maybe I'm more acclimated to them, like with poison, your body can get used to it. I notice that the sting goes away pretty quickly now. And no damage is done. I don't have welts or bruises or sores or anything on my skin. It just hurts for a bit, and then it's done. And I'm on the other side. Now, of course, if there is a path around the nettles, I'll take it. But it seems in life, the figurative nettles are exactly where they're supposed to be, because that's the only way through. And when you bump into them, it's because you're exactly where you should be to get where you want to go, to manifest in life what you want to manifest, and to level up in the way you want to level up. And you just get stronger and stronger. And I think the nettles have less and less effect on you the more you challenge them.
In 1.5 miles, keep left on I-476, then exit right.
I've mentioned my partner before and how sometimes our relationship resembles a ping pong match. And I think that the nettles analogy applies there. Sometimes what she ends up doing stings, and it isn't because she intends stinging or malice. It's not like she's a demon that hates me and that wants me to fail. It's more like a challenge. And so the same holds true for challenges of any kind, whether their intentions are to slow you down or just merely for the other person to get where they're trying to go. And in either case, we've talked about setting barriers before, and that strength is essential. You have to be strong to do it, and you feel good. When you feel good, you do it better. So I'd say when you're setting these barriers and when you're enduring,
take exit 16B on the right to I-76 West.
When you're enduring challenges that maybe your partner imposes on you, it still feels like the nettles. And when you go right through and you accept the pain, because sometimes there's nothing that your partner's doing wrong, but it's just like growing pains. When you let go of jealousy, for example, it isn't because your partner wants you to suffer, but your partner deserves room and freedom and isn't supposed to have to tiptoe around your insecurities. So if you just say, well, no, I need to get through this, my partner's not doing anything wrong, I just need to get through this, that feels like Nettles. And again, there's only one way through, for me anyway. Let's use jealousy as an example. The only way through is through the Nettles. I don't know how to tiptoe. Another analogy is cold water. If you just jump in, it's easier than if you tiptoe in. And with the case of Nettles, I don't think there's any other way through than with jealousy. Nettles, there's no other way through than through the painful part. And I think you get through faster when you just go.
Exit right.
Grip right. You didn't plan that very well, did you? You blocked the whole lane. Should we let grip right in? Doesn't look like anyone else wants to. GMC's gonna let him in. In the meantime, his big steel bumper is sticking out into the lane of traffic. Don't be like grip right. If you're trying this at home, the best indication that you're doing it correctly is that after the pain, you feel really good about yourself and you feel no more pain. Once you're through the pain, the sting goes away, you're not damaged, your relationships improve, your relationship with the cosmos improves, you find yourself emotionally, spiritually, physically in a better place. If that's the truth, if you look at it, even though you're saying to yourself, damn, that hurt, oh, that hurt so much, but if everything about your life is better afterwards, you might have to say, yeah, I guess that's probably the way I'll do it next time in a similar circumstance. And my theory is that if you keep doing it that way, you keep challenging yourself that way, it won't sting as much. And once the demons figure out how badass you are, I think they kind of back down. I think they kind of I don't think they like it when you do that. I think it causes them pain. Assuming, of course, they exist. And causing them pain lessens your pain because they don't stick with it as much. Their heart isn't in it when it causes them to suffer. I think if you're challenging the status quo, whether you believe in demons or not, I think if you just look at the human beings that don't like it when you challenge the status quo, they back down. When you're fearless and you just say, hey, I'm not putting up with this, I'm going through, after a while they don't try you. They just say, hey, that's enough. That just hurts too much. I think you can cause demons a lot of pain.
In 3 3/4 miles, keep left to I-76 West.
Now, what happens with people who act like demons when you challenge them? Sometimes you get fired. I have to say that from personal experience, not just once in my life. But I like myself better after that. And I end up with better opportunities. I'm not saying it's a given, but I have always ended up with better opportunities after I've been fired for challenging the status quo. Not fired for being a dumbass, but for challenging the status quo. An example is I was a choir director at Lakewood United Methodist Church in Erie, Pennsylvania. And as the music director, I directed the bell choir. And in the bell choir was the pastor's wife. They've since divorced. And a couple, 2 or 3 of her children, her older children, were in the bell choir. And so one day she decided, and I don't know if you've ever been in a bell choir, but when you're in a bell choir, every person counts. When people are missing, notes are missing. And if you're counting and figuring out how you fit in, other people missing can really throw you off. Unless you're a really excellent musician. And so, not only was she missing because she scheduled a hair appointment, her younger children needed babysitting, and so she kept her older children who were in the bell choir home to look after her younger children, or child, I can't remember now. It's been a while.
Hazard reported ahead.
And I think, if I remember right, I told her that it would be better if she didn't schedule her hair appointments during bell choir rehearsal time. And that's all it took. Within a few weeks, I wasn't employed anymore because I had the audacity to challenge the status quo. If I had been more obedient, more compliant, who knows what would have happened? Do I regret challenging the status quo? No, because I was able to maintain my identity. I'm still the same person. I didn't have to become a smaller person by taking shit. I chose to say, no, I don't think you should be scheduling your hair appointment during bell choir time. And so, I don't regret it. I don't regret not working in churches anymore.
In 1.5 miles, keep left to I-76 West.
Working in churches is like bathing in thistles. We end up bloody and torn. And that's not what I want. And so I have avoided churches, and they have avoided me since then. And that's a good thing, right? Duh! And so think about your life. If you do have the audacity to wade through and push through the challenges,
1 mile, continue straight.
you'll like yourself better because you'll be a better person. And the reason you're a better person is because you're real. You don't have to be a pain in people's ass just because it's fun. But you are willing to be a pain in the ass because for you to be real, that's what it will take sometimes. And as we've already said, being real is necessary if you want to be non-toxic. There's no way to be non-toxic and fake. Even if you seem nice and if you seem non-toxic, you're still poison in an attractive package. You still are toxic because you aren't yourself. You aren't being who you really are. It's much better to be real, even if it pisses people off, as opposed to just pissing people off because that's what you want to do. Well, some people do. I don't think that's even authentic. I think that's fake. If you just piss people off because it seems like fun. Being real is having values that you've thought out carefully and then following them, no matter what. That's authentic. That's non-toxic. And these values, they're not designed to make people upset. They're designed to not harm people and to take no shit from people, to thrive, to do what you like doing, to prosper in ways you like prospering, as long, again, as you're not harming people, exploiting people, abusing, neglecting, damaging people, and as long as you're not taking shit. Now, what do you do about people who complain that you are a pain in their ass because you're willing to wade through nettles? And I'd say you have to look at the people who are talking to you. Sometimes those people are operating in good faith, and sometimes those people are narcissists. And a narcissist can't operate in good faith. I mean, if they do, it's an accident. A narcissist, especially a gaslighting variety, is trying to get you to think you're doing things badly, wrong, that you're not being nice, that you're being harmful, even when you're not. Because a narcissist has an agenda, which is to get people to worship them and to get people's attention, to get people to change things for their sake. And so they want you to change by telling you that you're doing things badly, even when you're not. If, on the other hand, you're dealing with somebody who is dealing with you in good faith, then you consider carefully what that person is saying and how your actions cause pain. And you may need to strike some kind of a balance to come to some sort of compromise where the least amount of harm is done to each person and it seems equitable. And that doesn't mean you're compromising your integrity, just the opposite. That's a good way to display your integrity. That's a good illustration of what compromise should be and when you should do it. But you have to keep your eyes open and your ears open and your nose sniffing, because you can smell narcissism and you can figure out the agenda underneath if you pay attention. And when you see a controlling agenda, when someone's trying to control you in a negative way, then you need to resist that person. And you need to go right through the nettles, even if it bothers that person. And for some people, bothering them is significant proof that you're on the right track. And other people who are operating in good faith, you need to keep considering what you're doing and if you are doing the right thing. And if they're operating in good faith, they'll consider what they're doing too. And you'll be able to have an open conversation about the best way forward so that both people can win. Win-win is the result of dealing with people in good faith. And another person whose good faith actions are causing you discomfort may be doing just what you need them to do. Not only would they be less well off because they would be constricted by your requests, denying your requests not only will give them less confinement, but it'll help you level up and become a better person. If they're operating in good faith, then they win by not having to be confined by your requests, and you win because you learn how to deal with that extra load that your soul needs to level up. Even when it looks impossible, there's going to be a way somehow for everyone to benefit. So today's thrilling conclusion is not that you always have to go through nettles to get where you're trying to go, but it is true that a lot of the places you want to go have nettles in the way, and there's no other way to go but through. And you go through enough places like that, you'll get pretty good at it. And the people that are not dealing with you in good faith will beware. They'll watch their step around you. As I said yesterday, sometimes you don't know who's upset with you. sometimes you don't know the source of the nettles, and it might be your own subconscious. It might be the part of you that likes to maintain the status quo. So if that's true, you still know you're on the right track. You still need to go straight through the nettles, even if you're opposed to yourself, because being comfortable is the realm